Don, thank you for jumping onto the Scooter Space podcast. Today, what we will be discussing is the cost of incidents but more so, not yes on the business, but more so on the individuals involved in that. But before we get into it, are you okay just to give a quick introduction to yourself?
Yeah, no problem. So, hi, I'm Don. I've been in the wonderful world of InfoSec and cyber for over 20 years now. I've deliberately jumped around and seen different segments of the world. So I've been in investment banks, FinCon, FinTech, gambling and gaming, manufacturing, pharmaceuticals, national government. Now I'm on the other side of the vendor sphere, as I've always been kind of end user. I went, all right, what's it actually like supporting a business that's selling? So I'm currently in a company called Kinley. We're a global audio visual company. So we supply the big event centers such as boardrooms at Meta, Barclays, HSBC, etc., 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 for their audiovisual needs.
Nice. Okay, so you've done pretty much everything there is to do then in terms of sectors. Then, Don, I think you've covered us off all there, haven't you?
Just about. But the nice thing is that with cyber is so tangenting already. But no matter where you are, cyber is cyber. It's just the nuance of what it and how you can help and support the business.
Yep.
But there's always something new to learn.
Nice. That's a good little tagline. That I'll have that snipped up definitely. Cool. Right, let's jump into it. So, just to remind the audience, we're talking about the cost of incidents, but more so the cost on the human that's like involved in it, or the team that's involved in it.
Yeah.
So let's just go a little bit of an overview at the moment. So, when a big incident actually happens, could you give us an example from your time in the industry of a big incident that's happened where it's like, look, this has clearly affected both myself and the team, and how did you sort of react to that?
So I've been involved in some fairly sizable responses, but the biggest of which was Travelex when it went down to global ransomware. Now, I can't talk about sections of that, so forgive me if I get slightly elusive to any potential question. It's not my political leanings from the following job coming out, promise. The big take home to even begin with is to get through to the board that the whole it's not if, it's when question. And yes, you can go through your entire career and miss having a big incident. There'll be incidents, yeah, whatever else, but something that actually threatens the life of the company and everybody that's working for you or with you, then I really hope that you don't get that. Really, really, really hope you don't get that. But if you do, there's some things that you really need to sort out beforehand. And they're fairly easy. They're fairly normal things. It's just actually getting the boards to engage and go with you on it. And that's things like ensuring everyone knows what they're supposed to be doing, what their job roles are, and then tabletop exercises, little things like that, where you can actually go and put in. And then it's listening to things like we're talking about now and picking out areas that could be very useful for you, or even a lot of the things that I talk about we put into normal working, and it's actually helped team in itself become a better team, a stronger team, a more resilient team, and the whole dynamic has just worked better inside the team because we're doing certain things. For example, if somebody is working over their hours on incidents or doing an incident, etc., there has to be balance in their life. So as a manager, you make sure that they get whatever hours they've worked over in lieu. Now, you're obviously able to do that just on a personal basis, but it's far better to have something enshrined in HR to go, this is what goes on. If somebody is working over their allotted time, they need to be either rewarded
Yep.
or that there has to be a balance. And it's little things like that that will make the team respect you more. They know you're working with them and
Yep.
helping them, but it's also ensuring that there's areas inside the business that know what's going on, understand what's going on, and support. So it's little things like that.
That's interesting, that, because is money going to fix everything? Because yes, a financial remuneration would be nice, yes, and it's the go-to. But we know that it doesn't fix everything, does money? It helps, but it doesn't fix everything. So what can you do if you get someone on your team where there's money's just not the question? Like they're burnt out to a crisp, but they're such a valued member, you don't want to lose them. So what other strategies can you kind of put in place then?
Well, so there's different strategies for people and yourself. There's a bit of both. Um, Strategies for people. You have to be, as a leader, be open and honest with them and the team. Um, and you have to lead. So if it's a case of if you are seeing that someone is struggling,
Yep.
actually having a conversation with them, going, right, I can see that you're either working all the hours and whatever else. What can I either lift off you to and transfer to someone else to give you enough headspace, or fine, only you can do this, which is a bit of a problem in itself. Therefore, when you get to the end of this, you are having a couple of days off, you are taking time out. Nothing is more important than you. Something I talk about quite regularly is you may love your job, but your job does not love you.
Mm,
If you die, or if you are incapacitated, or whatever else, or you move on, your job is still there and it will
mm,
be taken over by someone else. And yes, people will miss you and people will be unhappy or sad or whatever else, but the job is still there. So you may love your job may not love you, or your job doesn't love you. Therefore, you need to get the people who enable the job or support the job to be able to enable and support you.
mm.
So
I like that.
how to once again get the balance in
Yeah.
life. So yeah, money is not everything. Yeah, it's a good start, but it's not everything. Um, Little things such as a little thoughtful gift, or you know that person is working away, um, getting a lunch delivery to them or for them. Just a little thing that will just kind of help. It costs me nothing, but it would the gesture means a huge amount. But at the end of the day, it's about looking after the people. As a CISO, I say that everybody is under my aegis. Everybody's under my protection. I don't care who you are. I don't care whether you're a janitor or CEO. Everyone is under my protection, and as such, I expect to be able to have my team to protect them and the
Mm,
capabilities to protect them. But in the same breath, I'm looking to lock shields with my peers, both external and internal, to continually increase the capability to make things better. So I'm turning around to the head of HR and saying, I need to make sure that we have X
yep.
enshrined. And they'll quite often, for example, if there's an incident inside technology as normal, and I know patching regimes gone wrong, or log4j's happened again, or whatever else, um, then the people are looked after there. So it's not just the cyber team who
Mm,
get to work hard, play hard. It's the everybody gets the ability to do this, and
yep.
that changes the culture, And when we always say that to change culture is very difficult and it has to be done from top down, it's exactly this kind of thing that would actually give the ability to change the culture, get people more invested in the company, more invested in their jobs, and just feel more pride,
Yeah.
feel better about things.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. And but what about if it's yourself? And we all know that like once we get to that burnout point, it's like making what's the analogy I see? It's like when you're looking into a boiling pan and it's cooking, you can't see the bottom of the pan, so therefore don't make any decisions when you're sort of like angry or confused. And when you burn out, like your decision making becomes clouded as well. So therefore, you might not even know that you're burnt out. So yes, it's great that you can externally see for your peers and for your team and see so. But what about if you're leading by example? You're like, look, I'm rolling my sleeves up too. But what if you don't realize you're burnt out and no one's there to tell you? How can you kind of make sure that you're looking after yourself.
So a slight preamble to this is so for the last 2 years I've been going around talking about CISO mental health and doing talks at conferences and so on. And then last year, well, I sit in front of you a bit of a failure because last year, despite the fact I knew what was happening, I burnt out. And the reason behind burning out is that my team were massively overproducing. They were very, very lean, but still massively overproducing. And I was trying to support them and protect them as much as possible. So I was continually trying to put other people first.
Yep.
And despite the fact I was turning round to my management going, this is what is going on, this is what is happening, the numbers were not supporting that because everyone was deep into the red,
Yep.
everyone was going lactic, and it was getting nasty.
Yep.
So it got to the point where I was signed off. One of my deputies was signed off, and senior management went, "Oh, that's a bit strange. Why didn't you tell us?" So at which point I pulled out 6 months of briefings and highlighted it to them, which fine. But uh, there are several physical characteristics what to look for in how to understand you're getting burnt out.
Mm.
It's things like if you feel your shoes stringing it, if your sleep patterns have got worse, if you're waking up feeling kind of dread or a stone in your stomach or whatever else, it's you're in fight or flight all the time.
Mm.
I found out that I got far more caustic with my remarks. And
Yep.
people kind of looking at me going, what the hell? It's like, you're not normally like this. Um, I mean, I'm fairly cutting but all in the best possible way.
Yep.
I know sarcasm is the lowest form of humor, but hey, I feel comfortable there. So that's what works. Um, but yeah, for the rest of it, it was a case of it wasn't good. I was talked about this. So I'm a comfort eater, so I'll find that filling up my body with crap, quite frankly, um, it makes me feel better for a little bit, not long, but a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of my peers I was talking to, he said he goes the other way, and he doesn't eat when he's stressed.
Oh
I'm
wow.
sitting there going, oh man, can we swap for a little bit? That'd do really nicely. But no, so yeah, so it was a case of therefore actually finally getting the help and the support that I needed, and management going, oh, okay. But with that, it was a learning experience again, where um, I couldn't understand why they weren't listening or not helping, but they couldn't understand why I was complaining, yet my numbers were top of the tree. So
Yeah.
it's like there's a yeah,
Okay.
there's a balance to be had once again.
Yeah, and I suppose it's quite. it's quite contradictory between being a good manager but like being a person at the same time. So what I mean by that is like what you were saying is like you were filling everyone else's cup before filling your own, and then there was no water left to fill your own cup at the end of the day, and then that's just human nature. That you don't have to be sort of like I've got friends and family who are always sort of like making sure that everyone else is all right, and then eventually you look at them after a while and they're burnt out. It's because they've just constantly deflected and everything like that. So you've got to, it's contradictory to be selfish as a good manager, but you're just doing that as a person. So it's really interesting point. So I just wanted to move it on a little bit in terms of when these big incidents happen to a team. Um, what sort of teams are best prepared? Is it teams of similar nature where they're all rooting for one cause? Is it diverse teams? Like what's the best team when it comes to recovering mentally from a big incident?
Um, I would prefer a team that um, is diverse in every single format. That includes so race, culture, background, um, but also mental state. So whether if I had a team full of extroverts and nothing but extroverts, I think that would get pretty tiring. So if you actually have a balance where you can have extroverts, introverts, where you can have say people, and you're able to just point them in the right direction, stand back and watch them go, when other people can get on with the task that they find less interesting or more tiresome or things like that. So a diverse teams in every single format, but B, a team that is able to be split. So where everybody will have either had the right level of training or a team that I'm able to split into two and go, right, I'm not going to go red, blue, but I can't think of anything else right now. Right, red team, you're on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, uh, etc. The blue team, your Tuesday, Thursday, Monday, and if we're not working weekends, you can imagine we are working weekends. But hey, and so you have a team where they're able to trust that everything is going on, that everything that they need to happen is happening, but in the same breath they can step back and they with that trust and go, okay, I've now got 24 hours to relax. I've got 24 hours to step back. Something like that would make a world of difference, because if you are just a hardcore carder team of kind of 4 or 5 people looking to do everything, that's when things go wrong.
Yeah,
And that's when people burn out hard.
yeah. Okay. And in terms of bringing it back to security, then is it is it just security that's like this because of the nature of like it's a little bit of a poison chalice in the sense of like you can't win in cyber. Therefore, is burnout just a really prevalent marker in this industry? And then I'm going to add a further bit onto that. Do you think that's why there is a skills gap? I say that loosely because I said on a previous podcast about my views on that, but I'm going to for the context of this, do you think that people are scared to jump into cyber because it's like burnout central? What do you think to that?
um, so the first one, I think that, sorry, I've just completely blanked on the first question.
No, no, I'll repeat. It's probably
Go on,
my
sorry,
my
first
my
question
my
again.
bad line of questioning, to be honest with you. Cyber itself, given let's just look at a SOC for example. It's 24/7, it's 365, it's a lot of sort of firefighting. It's intense. You've got to have a lot of resilience going into it before anything. The right character can't just walk into cyber. It's not. It needs a niche skill set. But it's one of those that like it's demanding. Therefore, like, is cyber in itself just an industry that is just like it's just a burnout central spot?
That's it. Thank you. I think currently, yes, but it shouldn't be. And
Okay.
this is going to take me back to one of my initial statements of I expect everybody to know their roles. And cyber can't be the people doing the patching. They can't be the people doing the comms. They can't be this, that, and the other. There are specific teams for that, and they need to know what they need to do, and they need to do it. So that's all about setting expectations of from teams, groups, requirements, and then test desktop exercises and things like that. Why, in my personal belief, why cyber does see a lot of burnout is the fact that we get to see everything. And as we get to see everything, um, an awful lot of people will use us as knowledge repositories, living knowledge repositories. So there's always a question of, can we do this? Can we do that? What about this? What about that? If we did X, how would that work? And so you're torn between, on a very regular basis, jumping in between policy and legal and data protection and then some architecture and then maybe some change control and it carries on like that when there's a lot of people just carrying on doing what they need to do, but then branching off going cyber, what about this? Cyber, what about this? That for me is it's an indication of just how crucial cyber has become
Yep.
to the business process. And if people are asking questions from cyber, then that's a very good thing
Yep.
because I mean it's far better to design and execute with security in first than the other way around.
Okay.
So hallelujah on that one. But then there's a case of almost weaponized incompetence where they're going, oh well, instead of instead of looking in the ISMS for a policy, we'll just drop a Teams message over and go, can we do X? And it's like, come on, how do we change? How do we change that? How do we get people to properly understand what things are, where things are, and etc. Which is why I quite like the concept of getting a chat GPT or something into a larger organization where they can and it becomes a kind of an ask a bot.
Yep.
Go, what what encryption standard do I need for encryption at rest?
Yep.
And the policy says this. And so something like that it would take an awful lot of overhead out from cyber, but that's in the future, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. So, with that being said, then just to bolt on that last little bit, then do you think that people are afraid to get into cyber because they're like, "Ah, why would I want to give myself this headache?"
Um,
Or do you
I
think you
don't.
don't know it until you're in the industry?
Well, there's that. B, cyber still has this kind of almost mystique about it, or they
Yeah.
like to think they've got this kind of mystique about it. Um, and I think there's also far too many gatekeepers or far too many people putting up ridiculous barriers to stop people accessing. My last role in central government, I removed so many barriers, nonsensical barriers for people accessing. For example, please tell me why you need to have a degree in cyber security or information technology to be able to be a entry level SOC analyst. Why?
It is just a
How?
filtering technique, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like absolutely no point. I mean, I
No.
personally, my degree is business and environmental science. So I'm supposed to be running a successful garden centre or something like that. But no, I went straight into technology. There's a bizarre way of getting in, but I was taken immediately into investment banks. because of some part-time work I did. And it was in 2001, 2002 that there was a bit of a boardroom recession, pretty bored, nothing happening. There were no promotions, nobody was going anywhere, there's no training. It was sit there and just work.
Yeah.
And I was bored. And I was
Yeah.
looking on the internal job posting, and for the first time ever, a light bulb went on over my head, and I went, I want to do that job.
Yeah.
hadn't even heard about it. And they were setting up a information security function to roll out Sarbanes-Oxley. And so that was how I got into cyber. And so, yeah, I hadn't even heard of it. But my entire time at school, when they're going, "What do you want to be when you grow up?"
Yeah.
Not the foggiest. Not the foggiest. It was like, oh, I want to make money. I want to do this. I want to do that. And yeah, what the hell does that do? No, but so me personally, I think that we need to try to make cyber a more accessible um, entity,
Yeah.
or role or anything else, and that's by either supporting people looking to change their careers, um, but for the right reason. I did see a lot of people jumping over from technology maybe 5, 10 years ago, that were going, oh, because it's a growth market. You're not really coming in for the right reasons, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I can understand why. And hats off to you. Congratulations on seeing this and noticing this. But I really want people who are passionate, and so
Yeah.
I was getting my team to hire on aptitude
Yep.
rather than anything else. Are you the right kind of person that we want? Are you the kind of person I'd want it beside me in the trenches?
Yep.
Um, are you the kind of person that would, uh, if you see something you don't understand, ignore it, or you pick it up and look at it?
Mm.
And if you picked it up and started looking at it and you still don't understand, will you ask for help?
Mm.
Things like that. Self starters, people who will. I'm not even looking for people who are completing stuff. If you've a self starter and you've run to the end of your logical track and you can't go any further, then hand it off. Then
Yeah.
automatically you're not going to see it to the end.
Yeah.
But I do expect you to be asking the
Yep.
person who has finished it off, how did they do it? Or
Absolutely.
sitting with them and learning by osmosis and things like that. So yeah, I know everyone says there's a skill shortage. Um, I think that we're making a rod for our own back by not being able to give the right guidance to our teams to hire, or not making the kind of personal strategy something inside our strategic intent.
Yeah, no, I like that. It's a good way of looking at it. And just one last question for me, Don, is essentially, so we've talked a lot about reacting, and how the team should react, how yourself should react. Is there any proactive measures moving forward where, like, look, we know that every sort of organisation is not bulletproof, absolutely far from it. But is there anything we can kind of do before we get to the burnout point? Like, look, this is the instant we're going to get hit, but, like, look, if we can put these measures in place, we don't have to get to the point where we're just mentally exhausted. Is there anything we can do?
There plenty of things we can do, but to recap, so the training and awareness piece, so from the board down, so they know what to do when people aren't falling over themselves or whatever else. Practice it, test it. So all the kind of basic hygiene stuff you have, and then run through scenarios. It's like, it may be kind of I don't know, a boring Thursday afternoon, and it's like drop a scenario on your SOC manager. This
Yeah.
is what, right, we've just seen, we've got a couple of gig going out to an unknown site. Um, it it looks like it may be connected to Reveal or
Yeah.
some kind of ransomware site. What do we do?
Yeah. Yeah.
How do we do it? And so, and to go from back forward, so such as from everything from identity control. Why is the SharePoint admin able to be seen? Why is that not under a break glass capability? Why do we not have a firewall rule saying anything over 250 meg to a brand new site, kind of less than 2 months old, is automatically throttled and flagged? And kind of build out things like that that will make operationally better.
Yep.
And at the same time, because you've already listened to what's gone on, you've already talked to HR about how to build the team, how to make sure that time in you is given. You've already amplified the message from HR about things like the mental health, or the employee support,
Yep.
or anything like that. So you've gone, we've got this already here in place. Just everybody's got it, and you've got it in your own little folder just to make sure. And then it's a case of making sure that the team themselves are happy.
Yep.
Generally, a happy team is a motivated team, and a motivated team will do far more than an unmotivated or a bored one or whatever else, or an overworked one, to be honest.
Yep.
I mean, overwork is a big thing. Once again, we're kind of touching on the lack of resource. There is a lack of resource generally. I've only met a few people who've sat there and gone, yeah, no, my team's of a reasonable size. I don't need more.
Mm.
In this day and age, getting extra headcount might be an interesting conversation. I mean, for the
Yep.
first time in, call it 10 years, it's the first time that cyber is not the number one risk into a board. Number one risk is the economy, and will
Yep.
the company survive? That's a fairly meaty conversation to have whilst people are being cut, and you're going, actually, I need more.
Mm. Mm.
Difficult time to have that kind of conversation, but sometimes you've got to have it.
Exactly. Perfect, Don. Thank you so much for your time today. Thanks for jumping onto the security space. Like all the other pods, if anybody's got any questions for Don, I'll make sure to put all his contact information below. But yeah, once again, Don, thanks so much for jumping on.
My pleasure.